What's going on, guys? So today we're going to do a video installing the Harley-Davidson front spoiler kit that goes right here down the side of the bike and gives you the oil cooler cover and the Hogworkz stretched side covers. All are color matched. So for the side covers, this is what they look like here, and I'll do a close-up on the overhead so you can see it. They come wrapped in, you know, a lot of foam and stuff like that when they're delivered. So the only thing I'll recommend with that, given my experience with them lately, is be sure you check these things very, very carefully when they come in. I've had to send them back twice, and they had some defects in the paint, they had some clear coat bubbles on them and stuff like that. And I got to give kudos to the support team. There's a guy that I called and spoke to and emailed back and forth named Doug. So Doug, if you see this from Hogworkz, great job, bro. He personally checked everything to make sure, worked with the QA team and all that before they sent it back to make sure it was good. And so very, very happy with their support. Not happy with all the time it took me to get it back and forth, but in any case, he did a great job in doing that. So thank you, Doug, I appreciate that. For the spoiler kit, what you get is you get color matched bottom spoiler cover for the oil cooler, and then you also get two, a left and a right side. I'm not going to show you both of them because it's the same, but those go on the front and they replace your air deflectors on the side right there. So they're all color matched and they will sit right there in that section. You do not have to take the fairing off, at least from what I've seen. So that's good. But I would recommend taking off the bags and putting a cover over rear pegs or boards if you have them, because I have the Thrashins, as you guys know, which if you go click on my icon down for my channel, you'll see all the other videos that I've done, which include these mounting kits and the rear boards. I also have covers and bag blades on, also included in those other videos, so check them out if you're interested. But we're going to take the bags off, and then that way it gives us easy access to these side panels, because I don't want to scratch anything up. And then I'm not going to take the seat off, I don't think I need to. And then we'll get them switched out and check it out and see what it looks like. I think it's going to look really cool. So let me get the camera flipped around, I'll go over on the overhead and kind of show you what comes in the packages, and then we'll get started. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're switched over on the overhead now. You can see the two different panels that come in here. They're identically the same, just one left, one right. I'm gonna slide this one over just because I wanna focus on one of them. So, stretch bag cover, you know, looks really nice, very sleek design. Kind of extends out a little bit more when it goes through. When you look at the bottom of it, they come with these new inserts right here. They're little metal screws that go into a threaded nut, I guess, if you will, that goes inside of there. So these will make sure you have them in place when you put them in, but these will be what inserts into the little rubber grommets on there. Make sure you put some Loctite on these and put them in there. I've already done that with them. And so that way they're in there, but you can see, you know, there was some white stuff on here and all that, so I cleaned it all up and made sure it was okay. There was no orange peeling or anything like that. But overall, pretty happy with the way they turned out once they finally got it situated, and happy with that. So again, they come in a box. They have, you know, this black Hogworkz foam that's all wrapped around it, which is nice. So it keeps them well protected. So that's those, and now we'll take a look at what comes in with the spoiler kits. So let me move these out of the way. Okay, so here's the spoiler kit that comes in there. You can see kind of all the stuff that comes with it. You get your instructions that tells you what to do. It does not tell you have to remove the fairing. You get color matched chin spoiler, which is, you know, a lot larger, that goes around and covers, you know, the area for all that, which is pretty cool. I'll put this over here out of the way. You get a left and a right spoiler that goes down the side. And then for the hardware, You get a couple straps that go over your crash bar, some brackets that mount it up underneath by the turn signal light. You get a set of different screws, some new little grommets. You know, this T27, T25, and a 3/16 hex bit here. And then you just need a ratchet, and I use an extension. Comes with a couple nut plates. I'm not sure where those will go or if I need them, but we'll see when we get into the install for that. And then looks like they just clip over something in there to give the screws a chance to back into it, right, for that. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be one of these guys. It's gonna pop in there like that for the spoiler kit. Probably around the chin spoiler, yep. So looks like those are gonna slip right over here, you know, and pop on there to give it a nut plate to screw into. So that's pretty easy, but this is from Harley, so of course it's a color matched, you know, matches the gunship gray that I have for my ST. And pretty much it. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be that big of a deal. Haven't done one before, so we'll see how it goes. But try to show you everything every step of the way. All right, cool. I'll get it switched around and we'll start taking bags off. See you in a minute. Okay, so we got the camera switched around here. I'm gonna focus on the side panels first. And then we'll move into and start doing the spoiler after that. But as you can see, I got it zoomed in nice and close. So as I mentioned before, if you've got pegs or passenger boards, you want to take something and cover that up, because once you get the bag off and you pull this panel off, you don't want it to hit there and scratch it, either putting it on or taking it off, right? So next thing you do is open up your bag here, and I have bag blades, and I have panel filler lights, so they're connected right here. So we'll just disconnect those. I forget that a lot sometimes, and I go to pull the bag off and wires, and so it's really kind of stupid. But I also have the Robert Decker locks on there, so I've got those already started out to go. So we pull these out. Always support your bag. Pull that over and lock it. Make sure everything's disconnected, pull it up out of the way. And at this stage, now you're ready to pull off the side cover, right? So just like on the one I showed you, they're just little rubber grommets that hold it in place. Just pull those out. See, the plastic ones are a part of it, so they don't come out, which is why they provide you the other ones, but that's the old style. And then we grab our new one, and pretty much the same thing. You can see the little metal things that I put in there. You just line that up in the bottom hole, kind of like get it ready to go. Get in position, make sure you move your rag out of the way. Push it down underneath the lip of the seat. Pop that one in, pop that one in, and then pop that one in down below. Just like that. Make sure it's all in. And then of course you're gonna wanna take it, because you know, got fingerprints all over it. So get us a little cleaner. Run down here. Clean all the fingerprints off of it. So it looks all schmexy. Can't have it looking bad when you get it all on there. Especially when you get some spots that once the bag's on there, it's going to be hard to reach. So always take advantage of cleaning areas you normally can't get to. Just like that. Again, just check everything, make sure it's in there. Now, when you push on these, make sure you push on the pinpoints, right? Don't push back here, because these are flexible, right? So you don't want to shove trying to get it on there and think, oh, I'm just going to push real hard right here, and then you end up cracking them, because they are fiberglass, plastic, whatever, that's on there. So, all right, cool. So we got that back on, and then it's just the same thing. We go put our bag back in there, So we grab our bag, kind of get it lined up a little bit. I like to feel underneath to see where that thing's gonna land, plus kind of line my bolt holes up. Like that. See how that sits. Open it back up and support it with my hand. And then do your bag finagling to get it all started. Do both of them. I'm not going to do both right now, just for the sake of you guys know how to put bags on. And then we just reconnect our panel filler lights and our bag blades. Like that. So they're right there where they come in and run. You put your other hole in, shut your bag back down, close it off, and then same thing, good housekeeping. Wipe all your fingerprints and junk off of everything that you just did. And that's about it for those. So pretty simple. It's the same thing on both sides. So easy to duplicate. And I'll go ahead and get switched around and do that one as well. And then you can see what the bike looks like with those both on before we start the spoiler. So back in a second. Okay, here we are on the left side. Switch around, same thing. Make sure you cover up any metal like this when you get ready to pull this off, so if it pushes back, it doesn't hit it. I got the thrashings on here, so they got some good grip on it, and it could scratch that up, right? So, same thing as the other side, just kind of a redo. Open up your bag, disconnect your lights, like so. Same thing. Got my cool, sexy bag locks in there. These liners are awesome, just saying. All right, so we pull that out, support your bag, drop it down, take it off, set it somewhere safe, and then the same thing pulling this one off. Just grab it in the key areas, start popping it out, hang on to it, and then this is why you have that cover, right? Because you'll hit that and scratch those up, and we don't want to do that. Grab our new Smexy cover. Same deal. Line it up with just the bottom one to get it there to where you know it's going to go. Start popping in the other holes. They're like that. Make sure this is out of the way. Push that one in, push that one in, lift the seat up a little bit so it's out of your way. Go down and push that one in. Like I said, make sure you're pushing on where the pins are in this thing, because you don't want it to go and hit and flex this thing. So there we go. And here's where you can see, yeah, you could take the seat off, but I just moved and wiggle it a little bit. Pop it in, push on all the pressure points. You can see all the smudgies right there. Drives you crazy, at least does me. And then we clean it all off. And I do a good job of cleaning it before you start your installation, because when it comes from Hogworkz, they have a lot of dust and white primer and junk like that on them. So when you're doing your super in-depth inspection to make sure you don't got any blemishes or anything, use that time to go through and clean all the edges, because you'll get white junk on the edges and stuff like this on the bike, or you'll miss something and you'll be pissed because you're trying to do it after the fact and got to take it off. So, all right, so that's cleaned up. I'm gonna use that again in a second. Again, kind of feel with my finger at the bottom to where it's got to kind of go. You kind of know how they line up. Probably taking your bags off a million times. Just kind of get it set, support it, lift it open. Get your bag bolt started. Do your finagling to get it threaded right. Okay, now once it's on, I can let go of my lid, reconnect my lights. Don't forget to do that. That's always a surprise when you have cool lights like this and stop and break and realize you don't have them because you forgot to connect those. But this cutout here is nice because that puts them right there. Then you just put it back on, lock it back down, and get rid of your smudgies from grabbing everything. Now you can see the cool flow and the streamline of the way this thing comes out. So if I take this off now, plenty of clearance, no big deal. Person can get their foot down there for your passenger just fine. I sat on a bike. If my big butt can get back there and do it, I'm sure anybody else can. And it just looks really nice. It just adds a nice stretched out aerodynamic flow to it, and pretty happy with it. So, all right, cool. Those are the Hogworkz color match stretched side panels, left and right, how to put them on. And then we'll move on to the spoiler and get that going. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so now we're gonna get started on the spoiler kit. So as you've noticed, I've covered up my fender. I have one of these Harley fender covers. If you don't have one, I suggest you get one. They're very cool, well worth 40 bucks or whatever, because I use it all the time. But in the instructions, tells you first thing you gotta do is take off the spoiler cover, or the oil cooler cover. So that's right here. I've popped it a little bit already, but they're just held on with rubber grommets. So you just pop this forward like that, right? Move this out of the way a little bit, and then lift it up and pull it out. The cool wheel cover makes it a little harder. You can turn your wheel if you have a jack or something like that that's in there, but just pull this guy up and out and pull them out like that. Once that's done, we take the new one. You can see these little pins right here. Those are what's gonna go in there. So we finagle our little cool, sexy fender cover. Lift this guy up and slide up in place just like the other one, and pop those little grommet pins right in those holes that we just put the grommets in. Make sure I got them lined up. There's one. There's two. Okay, so now that's your new color matched cover for that. So that looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so we got that in. So the next thing is going to be to remove the spoiler covers right here on the side. So I want to get those little bad boys out, and I believe those are T25. Yep. So you take a T25, get those out. You're going to discard them because the spoiler has these built into it, and they give you new screws. And personally, from taking this off and on all the time, I'm glad they gave me new screws. All right, the next thing is to install the spoiler mounting bracket. There's two holes right here that I've got lighted up, hopefully you can see. And there's a left and a right side, and it goes in, and this loop or little indentation goes around the back side here, right? So slide that up and in there, goes into place like that. And you use the hex head bolts that are the 3/16, right? So we'll get this finger started. And again, I'm not gonna tighten everything up all the way on anything until we got it all in place so that you can shimmy and adjust and do what you need to do. So we're gonna get these going in there. And I put Loctite on these because I don't want them vibrating out. So we're just gonna finger tighten these up and run them all the way up there. So like that. So that's on there. Not gonna tighten that down. Probably could though, I guess, because I don't think there's gonna be much of movement for there. The most of the shimming is gonna be on where the fairing comes together. So we'll go ahead and tighten these down. Like that. And so the torque specs on that is, let's see, 48 to 60 inch-pounds. So I calibrated my wrist for that one, so I think we're good. Okay, so the next step now that we've got this in place is to attach the right side spoiler. Those little clip screws that we saw, make sure you put that in here, because I just put it on and had to take it back off again because I didn't have that in there. They don't really mention it in instructions, so common sense will tell you after looking at it, it needs something to screw into. So make sure you have that in place right there on the edge of the spoiler. And this is the right side, so you can see it goes like that. And this takes some finagling. So you got to flex and not break as you're trying to get it all lined up in different places. It's like it fights, 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 and then all of a sudden it'll just go, which is great. But it's just getting it all lined up with the limited space that you got without scratching your fairing all up. There we go. All right, so get it all in there. There's a triangle piece that has to go over the other one. I loosened up this side of the fairing for the signal, the turn signal light, just so that I can manipulate this and work it down in, because it's going to go in that little gap down there, right? So just push it down, get it in that groove like that. Use the light as a handle gently, and then pop everything in place. Once you tighten it all back up, then it'll be in there. All right, so that's what it looks like on there. That looks pretty good. Now that I got the upper air deflector screw in, holding that top part in, the next thing I'm gonna do is put the screw in right here where we put that bracket on, right? So we're gonna stick that little guy in there, and again, hold it loose. And that one is these little black screws that have the Loctite already on it. And it's a T27 bit. So we'll get that started and to hold that in place. All right, so as you can see, I got that one started. We're gonna leave that like that until we get the rest of it connected. All right, now that we've got that hold in place, this top screw in there, this kind of lined up, the whole screw ready to go for the bracket down here. What we're going to do now is install these bar clamps that go right over here. What they do is they just slip over the top of the bar like so, right? And then you use the black screw that comes in with the Loctite already on it, that has your T27 bit on it, right? So you just slide it over it. It's gonna line up right in this hole right here in the front of the spoiler. Line it over, give it a squishy, and then get it kind of close. Shove this in there, and then start putting it in there finger tight, just to hold that in place. All right, so that takes care of that one right there. Once we do that, you know, we put that little nut plate on the back of there. There's really no way for me to get an angle of that. You just got to kind of feel for it, and then get it started. And then that's good. And that gives you the security base here on the bottom. Okay, now that we got those in place and loosely tightened, now we can go around and start securing up everything and make sure it all fits in there good in the lines. We don't want any big gaps, nothing like that. So I'm gonna start here at the top, I think. Seems like it's lining up pretty good. So I'll tighten this guy up, pull down on it a little bit. Tighten this back up. That's good and tight. And then we will take our last remaining deflector light, or wind deflector wind deflector screw that we have on the bottom back here for when we took those air deflectors off. And we'll get this one started. And remember, this is the one that helps hold the fairing in place. So I'll get him run down kind of close. Take this one down kind of close, like that, and we'll check our gaps. Everything looks good, it's all nice and snug. And then we'll just go in and tighten those last two little guys up. So I'm gonna start the bottom one, because that pulls on the fairing. Using my hand to block the paint. And then the top one. There you go. And that is it. The only thing I would probably say now is I'll run around and check all the bolt connections on everything. Tighten that one up there in the front. Nice streamlined design, adds some nice flow, and I think it really looks good with the bags back here on the side that we just put on. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. There's no sense in walking you through it and taking forever while I miss a line and get it all going for that one, because it's basically the same on each side. But let me get that part done, and then we'll come back and show you what she looks like with the new spoiler kit going on. All right, back in a minute. All right, well, there you go. There's the front spoiler kit with the chin cover all in place, all nice and tightened down. Adds a very nice finished look. Me personally, I felt that they should have included that as part of the design in the ST model, because, you know, sport touring, I think it should kind of be sporty and touring, right? So, but in any case, there's the spoiler. Here's how it looks on the bike. We've got the stretch side covers back here from Hogworkz. Those are in place. Gives a nice streamlined flow back into the bags. And man, it just really looks good as it flows down the bike. I think it's gonna be awesome. And I'll be curious to see, there's not much wind deflection here because it still goes through, but I'll be curious to see just kind of what it feels like going down the road with that on there. But yeah, that's it. Really not a hard install. Just got to remember a couple things, like I said. You know, if you're going to do these, take your bag off, cover up your pegs or your boards, just to make sure you don't scratch these up. And then when you put these guys on, don't forget that stupid little nut clip that they don't call out in the instructions, or at least I didn't see it anyway. And then just takes a little finagling to get it in there. You don't have to take your fairing off. Just when you remove those air deflectors, loosen up this turn signal light screw out so the fairing will flex, and that'll let those tabs slide up in there once you get it in place. And then what I did with it is I tightened up. I started from the bottom up, right, when I tightened, so that I could align this piece here, you know, get that straight in line, and then I came up and I tightened this piece, and then I put the air deflectors on, and of course this piece here for the crash bar. Up there, started here, did these guys. The last thing I tightened up was the turn signal light bolt, because I wanted to make sure I could push and flex that up in there. But I've seen some people say they've had problems getting it aligned, probably because maybe they didn't pull this bolt loose here, and so the fairing wasn't allow those tabs to slip in there because there's those little tabs right there. But for the most part, I mean, you can see a little bit of a gap, but it fits really nice form and finish to it. And I really think it completes the bike well. So like, subscribe, give any comments, any feedback, welcome it all as always. And remember, feel free to check out my other videos. Just click on my name, it'll take you to the core of all of them, and you can see all the other things that I installed in reference to those things, so you can check those out. So, all right, have a good one. See you in the next one.